So what is your favorite math class to teach?
Gosh, right now,
Yeah.
AP Stats definitely is my favorite.
Okay.
It is such a fun hands-on class. At least that's the way that I've chosen to teach it, is through activities and data collection, so that the kids are very involved. And so everything that we do is very active. And, you know, the kids are having fun, and that means I have fun too. You know, the kids are learning what they're supposed to learn to be able to master the objectives for the AP test.
Right.
But we're doing it in a fun way. And we use a lot of fun things. We use M&Ms and Skittles and chocolate chip cookies, and so all those kinds of things just add a whole nother dimension to a math course. You know,
Right.
anytime you can add food, it's always a bonus for kids and their attention.
Can you give an example of a lesson, or like just kind of briefly describe a lesson that seemed to be like a really popular hands-on activity? Like, I don't know if you have anything in your. Or I know you're.
We're already finished, so it's
right. Or you could just describe it verbal.
I have a couple. I'll stay on the food theme.
Okay.
It's always fun.
Right.
One of the things that we do really towards the beginning of the year, which the kids really enjoy, is the how many licks does it take to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop?
Oh, love it.
And that is a lesson.
Do they remember the commercial? Like, have they seen the commercial? Okay.
That's how I introduce. I start the class by playing the.
Mr. Owl.
Mr. Owl, how many licks does it take to get to the Tootsie Roll center of a Tootsie Pop?
Let's find out. 1, 2, 3, 3. How many licks does it take to get to the Tootsie Roll center of a Tootsie Pop? The world may
Or we're doing it from a statistical point of view.
Right.
That we're collecting data so that we can calculate the mean and the standard deviation, and that we can actually graph and really see what does that concept of standard deviation mean in conjunction with the mean. It's one of the toughest concepts. It's really easy. Your calculator can get that standard deviation. You just type in all the stuff into L1, one bear stats, it pops out the answer. But what do those numbers actually mean? And that is a big topic. And it remains actually a difficult topic all throughout the year. Standard deviation is a tough thing for anyone to get their heads around to really, truly understand what that numerical value means in the sense of how the data falls and how it connects with each other.
Okay.
So what we do is everyone gets a Tootsie Pop, we unwrap it, and then as I am, I'm trying to remember what we do. I usually have a PowerPoint going, and as I'm sort of going through and introducing some of the basic topics, they're licking. And
oh my god! And they're counting.
And they're counting. And they're
the number of
licks.
licks.
They're counting.
They're counting the number of licks.
They're counting the number of licks that it takes to get to the center.
Does it take the whole class period?
Well, no.
Okay.
Actually, I use the mini ones. Because otherwise, if you use the real big, full-size Tootsie Pops, it would take maybe over a class period. And it brings up a whole lot of other scientific things, too. I mean, all the control variables. Like what constitutes a lick?
Exactly.
Is it one full, stroke on the tongue?
Exactly.
Or is it just a little tiny lick?
Right.
That everyone is doing it slightly differently, but it makes it interesting because you get a lot of different kinds of numbers.
Yeah.
You hopefully get some outliers so that when you look at the graphical display that we can create with this particular data, that when you do a box plot, you have some outliers.
Yes.
And we talk about what an outlier is.
Yeah.
That, this person that is that little dot over there, that person has a number of licks that is an outlier to the rest of the data. So it makes it so much easier to understand that it's not just a bunch of dots, it's not just a bunch of numbers.
Right.
And
they have this visual association.
But it also creates a memory. And And I teach it in an activity-based format because I think about the whole year as we're making memories of all the different topics and objectives that we cover. That when we learn something new, whether it's an inference test or calculating a confidence interval, we have a memory associated with that particular activity that when we review for the AP test, it's like, remember
that
when we measured everyone's head circumference and we got X, Y, and Z. And
right.
I remember what that means. So therefore, the review process is easier. There are a lot of bonuses to doing hands-on and doing anything in an activity-based kind of instructional setting, because it
really
connects
creates
up all
stronger
the learning inside
memories.
Makes those neural connections that we all talk about in our
absolutely.
education courses.
Absolutely.